A few days ago on my YouTube channel, I asked this question right here. What actors would you like to see in a potential Left 4 Dead movie one day? Now, I did have one rule, and that was I asked you guys to not list the voice actors and the face models, because number one, everyone would do that and it would be just way too easy. But two, I also want you guys to be creative with your choices because I want to think of different types of people that we can pick from, so that way we not only have variety, but we can also then narrow it down to the best possible option. And if any of you watching this video right now didn't have a chance to participate in this question a few days back, then by all means, if you have any characters that you would like to have be portrayed by a certain person in mind, let me know who that person would be in the comments down below. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. And yeah, guys, sit back, relax, and let's see who you guys would cast for a Left 4 Dead movie. Alright, so we're going to look at one character at a time, and we're going to be starting off with who should portray the character Bill. First, we got David Huber, and I think that this could be an okay casting. I have seen some of the work of David Huber before, most notably in his casting as Hop for Stranger Things. The only one thing, though, that I worry about this role is that if he was to play Bill, he would be a little bit too young. Now, this could potentially be fixed with makeup effects and maybe even some AI with some aging technology, but I would prefer if the person that was playing as Bill was just already on the older side. Next, we've got J.K. Simmons. Now, some of the roles that J.K. Simmons is best known for range anywhere between J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire, playing as Omni-Man, and then movies such as Whiplash. So there is a decent variety in JK's acting skills, and I believe that he could be able to play that lovable, grouchy old man in the sense of Bill, but there is going to be a suggestion coming up here eventually that I personally would prefer a little bit more, and so I'm going to end up saying that even though JK could possibly play Bill pretty well, I'm going to say that he's not my favorite suggestion yet. The next option for Bill here is going to be Harrison Ford. Now, Harrison Ford, I've seen him in a variety of different movies. I know him for more movies than I do the other two. I do still appreciate the other actors, but Harrison Ford I experienced in a lot more films because I grew up with him watching movies with my dad. He's one of my dad's favorite actors, and one of his favorite movie series that Harrison Ford is in is the Indiana Jones movies. Next, we've got Bryan Cranston, good old Heisenberg. See, Walter White was a great character, so much so that I feel like Bryan Cranston is just a little bit typecast. He was so good at that role that if he was ever to play Bill in a Left 4 Dead movie, everyone's going to be like, oh, that's Heisenberg, and they're going to make Breaking Bad memes inside the movie theater. Another suggestion we have for Bill here is Liam Neeson, and Liam Neeson is a very solid actor all around. I feel like with the right script, he definitely could pull off Bill if he wanted. Now, of all the options that you guys sent my way, Clint Eastwood was my favorite suggestion, because Clint Eastwood is a very solid actor. He plays perfectly the grouchy old man that you want to love type of character, and some of his movies are just phenomenal, man. He's made some amazing movies, even to this day, and him playing as Bill would be probably the best casting pick thus far. Alright, so now it's time to look at what you guys suggested on who should play as Zoe. Now, the first suggestion I got was Jenna Ortega. Now, Jenna Ortega, I believe, is best known for her role as Wednesday Addams in the show Wednesday, but she also does have some other movies and other shows she's trying to branch out to, such as the Scream movies. Unfortunately, though, I can't recall ever watching or seeing a movie with Jenna Ortega where she played a certain role that really captivated my attention, so I'm not really able to give as much input on her as playing Zoe as much as I could. Another suggestion I got was Natalie Dyer, and unlike Jenna Ortega, I'm at least a little bit more familiar with Natalie because I remember her playing as Nancy in Stranger Things. But Stranger Things is really all I know her for, so I really haven't seen her full potential as an actress. Unfortunately, I predominantly end up seeing YouTube videos as my main source of entertainment, so I really don't have a lot of movies and TV shows that I've watched to experience a lot of different settings for these actors in particular, which is why I was asking for your guys' suggestions in today's video, because you probably know more actors than I do. If you were to ask me if I've seen this cult classic movie or TV show, I probably would say no, because I really haven't seen that many TV shows or movies. Another suggestion you guys threw my way was Chloe Bennett. Now, the problem is, though, is that I have never seen, to my recollection, anything with Chloe in it. I cannot think of a single TV show or movie, so I'm just going to tell you guys what she's been in based off of what I found on Google. She has been in the following, but not limited to: Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a Marvel series, Jake and the Neverland Pirates, which was off of, I think, Disney Junior or Disney Channel back in the day, and then also some other things such as just random movies or TV shows like 5 Years Apart, Valley Girl, and Nashville. Now, believe it or not, somebody did suggest Kesha, the music artist, but I've never seen her in a movie or a TV show, and I've always just associated her with her songs. Another suggestion I got was Florence Pugh. Now, I do apologize in advance because I'm probably going to butcher saying this, but she played the character Yelena Bovala in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the Thunderbolts movie. Now, personally, I am a casual but still very much big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and even though it's not as popular anymore after Avengers Endgame, I still do keep up with most of the movies, and the most recent Marvel movie that I remember seeing was the Thunderbolts movie. And in this movie, Florence was very, very good at playing Yelena. She made a very, very great portrayal of that character, even though I've never seen that character before until this movie. So for those that have not seen the Thunderbolts movie, this is a little bit of a spoiler, so just fair warning. But pretty much the concept of the movie is like redemption for anti-heroes or pretty much villain characters in the MCU. These characters that were previously bad guys or had like a darker backstory come together and they make the new Avengers. It is a young, new version of the Marvel main group, and the thing is that this particular character that she plays as, Florence playing as Yelena specifically, is that this character goes from this hard to get to know, very introverted but yet badass Russian chick, and then she ends up becoming more warm and more lighthearted and very relatable by the end of the movie. So if you were to take elements of that and apply it to Zoe in Left 4 Dead, you would just do it in the other way around, because that's just how Zoe's character works. She was more innocent and naive in the beginning of the Left 4 Dead story, but then had to become more tough to be able to survive. So if Florence could take elements from the Yelena character and apply them to a portrayal of Zoe, where she starts off as kind but yet naive, and then eventually over the course of the story becomes more tough and badass, I think we would have a very great portrayal for Zoe on our hands. So far, this is my favorite casting pick for Zoe. Alright, now we're looking at the castings for Francis. So the first suggestion, my favorite suggestion, and everybody else's most common suggestion, this is going to be Woody Harrelson. And the reason why this is so perfect is because of Woody Harrelson's portrayal in the Zombieland movies, because those movies very much capture the aura of Left 4 Dead. I always used to think of it as a Left 4 Dead movie back when I was a kid because I didn't know any better, but you can understand why I thought that, because that movie's humor, story, and the way that they just go about things is very Left 4 Dead-like. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie, but go look at the very first one back in the early 2000s, the very first Zombieland movie, and tell me that that doesn't feel like a Left 4 Dead movie without the name. It basically is. Now, another suggestion I also got was Tom Hardy, and I keep forgetting that Tom Hardy can do this funny thing where he can be a very serious character and then a very unhinged character like the next moment if he wanted to. Tom Hardy's also really another solid pick to play Francis. Jason Momoa was another suggestion too, but I don't see him playing Francis as well as the other two personally. Some of you guys also told me about Roger Craig, and I remembered Roger Craig in the Sonic Boom show on Cartoon Network, believe it or not. And for those that have not seen that, even if you're not the biggest fan of Sonic, just look it up. Just look at the quips that they have in that show. Whoever did the writing, and specifically credits to the actors as well, because they made that show absolutely fucking hilarious for a kid's show. Because the humor in it is just impeccable. It's chef's kiss, because it's enough that parents can watch it, but kids are completely oblivious to the double meaning of the jokes. But he can play a serious role if he wants to, because he's also played Batman in the Batman Arkham video games. So since he's able to balance comedy and seriousness with the right script in mind, I think that this would be a pretty solid casting for Francis. And some of you guys even suggested WWE wrestlers, believe it or not. Some of you suggested Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H. Now, in their own ways, they're good at acting. They play these fictional characters that they present themselves on WWE TV, But the thing is, though, is that WWE is different than a zombie horror movie, and I feel like that they wouldn't do nearly as well in that setting. Alright, now we're going to talk about Lewis, which funnily enough was the one that I got the most suggestions for. The suggestions I got for Lewis are the following: Keith David, Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle, Samuel L. Jackson, Snoop Dogg, Lakeith Stanfield, and Tamar Tillman. Now, out of all these guys, Keith David, Lakeith Stanfield, and Tamar Tillman are probably the best options in my opinion. If any of the other guys got casted as Lewis, it would just result in a shit ton of memes. If I had to pick one of these guys to play Lewis, I probably would pick Lakeith, just because he seems like the one that has the best potential to play the role. Alright, now we're moving on to the Left 4 Dead 2 characters. Next up is Coach. First is Damien Poitier, and I was thinking to myself being like, why does that name sound familiar? And the reason why it sounded familiar to me, more specifically his voice sounded familiar to me, is because he was supposed to be the original voice actor to play Thanos in the MCU, before he was replaced by Josh Brolin. Next is Dame Drops, and it looks like that he is more social media influencer than actor, and it seems that he has a food-themed YouTube channel and social medias, and I'm pretty sure that the reason why you guys recommended him is because of the said food connection with him and Coach. You guys also said Ving Rhames. It seems that he was one of the more popular suggestions that you guys sent my way, and the most recent thing I can think of that he starred in is the Mission Impossible movie that just came out this summer. One of you guys suggested Ice Cube to play Coach, and some of the other suggestions were Tyler Perry, Chris Tucker, and Terry Crews, but my favorite suggestion was Ving Rhames. Alright, now let's talk about Nick. A response I got was Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and yes please, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is not only an amazing actor, I love pretty much everything that he starred in, but he's also perfect at playing the asshole character. I mean, just look at his most recent role in playing Negan in The Walking Dead. The thing is, though, is if you do cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Nick, you're gonna have to go all the way with the asshole persona and almost make him like a Left 4 Dead version of Negan, which would probably make the movie already rated R if it wasn't going to be already, just due to the swearing and the one-liners alone. I would love to think of all the possible quips that he could say. Now, apart from Jeffrey Dean Morgan, some of you guys suggested Nicolas Cage. This was one of the more popular responses, and Nicolas Cage is not the worst pick. I think that he could definitely pull it off. I just personally just prefer Jeffrey Dean Morgan because I'm just a little bit biased. I also saw Henry Cavill in the responses. I love Henry Cavill as a person and as an actor, but not in this role. I also saw some of you guys say Sam Worthington, although I have not seen a singular movie with him in it, so I really have nothing to add or to comment on. Ray Liotta was one, and lastly for Nick was Matthew McConaughey, although even though Matthew McConaughey can play a Nick type of character, for example, just look at him in The Wolf of Wall Street, I personally prefer him in his more happy and uplifting and motivational roles, just because I think that as a person, that is something that he plays better just based off of his personality and who he is in real life. Alright, next is going to be Rochelle, and here's the funny thing is when I initially had asked you guys who you wanted to see play as certain characters in a Left 4 Dead movie, after waiting for a minute and looking through all the responses, I had noticed that the first time around, nobody suggested anything for Rochelle. 0 responses. Everyone was talking about every other character besides Rochelle, and that shows you how hard it is to relate to Rochelle because of her story, her voice lines, and her character. And this is why we need an actress to play a good rendition of Rochelle, because otherwise, in the movie sense, she's also going to be a very bland and lackluster character. So let's see what you guys suggested after a little bit of motivation. So an actress to play Rochelle that was recommended by one of you guys was Tamara Smart. She has been in The Worst Witch for the CBC network. She is played in The Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting in 2020, and she was even in a Resident Evil movie on Netflix, which I did not know about. Danai Gurira was also a suggestion. She's played in The Walking Dead as Michonne, and she's also played in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as General Okoye, who is in the Black Panther movies and some of the other MCU movies. And then there's Keke Palmer, who's been in the movies such as Nope and Hustlers. Another suggestion was Sydney Park, who's also in The Walking Dead. And then finally for Rochelle, we have Danielle Brooks. She's been in Bad Guys 2, the Minecraft movie, and in Peacemaker. And now the last character of the main 8 is going to end up being Ellis. Now, 2 things. Number 1, even apart from the fact that it was hard to get answers for Rochelle initially, Ellis still ultimately ended up being the character with the least amount of suggestions. I only was able to get 3. And number 2, make sure you stick around for the end of the video, because after I'm done listing the suggestions here for Ellis, I'm also going to be sharing some of your guys' suggestions that you listed for some of the side characters, such as Church Guy and Keith. Alright, so the first one of 3 that I got to play as Ellis was Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey would definitely be a fun and lovable rendition of Ellis, but in my opinion, he would be better as the unhinged friend Keith, because for how crazy and wacky Jim Carrey is and all these expectations we have for Keith, it just makes more sense in my mind to play him than Ellis. So since I think Jim Carrey would be better as Keith, we're predominantly going to be looking at the last 2 suggestions. So the other suggestions that I also had was Andrew Garfield, which I would love this rendition of Ellis. I feel like that Andrew Garfield's acting skills can range anywhere from serious to comedic, and that is a perfect dynamic for playing as a character such as Ellis. He could take attributes like the quips when he plays as Spider-Man or Peter Parker, the seriousness when he's in Hacksaw Ridge, and some other favorite movies of his, and then just merge that together until you get Ellis. And the last suggestion to play Ellis was Ty Sheridan. The first and only movie that I recall seeing him in was Ready Player One back in 2018, which, by the way, if any of you guys are a fan of other pop culture besides video games, please, 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 please watch this movie. The fan service for every single possible genre is in this film. And personally, Ready Player One is one of my favorite movies because of this exact performance by Ty, because he made his character so interesting. Now see, this is very, very hard because unlike the other characters, I'm really split between Andrew and Ty. I really think that both of them can pull off an Ellis, but if I had to lock in a long-term choice, I would probably go with Andrew Garfield. Alright, so now let's go over what you guys suggested for the 2 side characters, that being Church Guy and Keith. So for Church Guy, I had Matthew Lillard, Andrew Garfield again, and Jason Statham. And then for Keith, I had Rowan Atkins, most famously known as Mr. Bean, Devin Bostick, Troy Baker, and lastly, Matthew McConaughey again. You know what? I actually do have one more character. I wasn't originally going to include this because it's technically just a joke, but I thought you guys would get a kick out of it, so why not? So there actually was one more suggestion, and this was for Virgil. And if you had to make a guess on who it would be, let me know in the comments down below. I'll give you guys a second to think about it. The suggestion for Virgil in Left 4 Dead, it could be portrayed by the one, the only, the invisible John Cena. Let's just hope that he's just good at a southern accent. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap and list my personal favorite suggestion for each character recommendation that you guys gave me and see who is our official Left 4 Dead movie cast. So here we go. For the Left 4 Dead 1 crew, I have Clint Eastwood playing as Bill, Florence Pugh playing as Zoe, Woody Harrelson playing as Francis, and Lakeith Stanfield playing as Lewis. Now for the Left 4 Dead 2 crew, I have Ving Rhames playing as Coach, Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing as Nick, Denaya Guerrera playing as Rochelle, and Andrew Garfield playing as Ellis. And for the side characters, we'll have Troy Baker as Keith and Matthew Lillard as Church Guy. Towards the end here, I'm also going to showcase some of your guys' comments on screen, so that way those watching at home can see your guys' thought process on why you picked certain actors and actresses to play these characters. So if anybody at home wants to read some of these comments, feel free to pause at any point. By the way, I want to say thank you and shout out to everybody that left a comment to make this video happen, because without your guys' feedback, this video wouldn't exist. So thank you to everyone that participated in this. But yeah, guys, that is it here for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. And if you have a particular video that you guys want to see from me in the future, just let me know via the comments down below. As we wrap up the video, guys, I want to mention 2 last quick things. Number 1, I have a second YouTube channel now. It is called Black Ninja 797 Extras. And on this channel, I'm going to be uploading and posting additional content that you would normally not see here on my main channel, such as gameplay walkthroughs, funny moments with my friends, and Challenge Accepted, which was a series I used to do here on my main channel where I play games you guys requested me to play. If you guys want to check out the second channel, there is going to be a link down below in this video's description. I also want to say thank you and shout out to Epic Games for being my first ever sponsor. I have a supporter creator code with them, and the code is just my name, Black Ninja 797. If you guys want, you can use it in the Fortnite and Epic Games item shops. Anybody that uses my code or has used it before in the past, I tremendously appreciate you. And yeah, guys, all that being said, I hope you ended up enjoying seeing another YouTube video, for the most unique YouTubers are ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!